All right, welcome everyone. This is round 7 and 8 of the tournament Bois Colombes. Yes, if you watched the last video, I was wearing this robe, and yes, I'm recording this right after. So what? Sue me. No, but this was, yeah, first round of the day on day 4, I think. And my opponent was this little cute kid named Nicolas. He was rated 1727. And I have no comments. Let's just say starting, after my first loss in the tournament, it was kind of just downhill. But we'll jump into it. I am playing the white pieces. Nicolas is playing the black pieces. We get a London. Honestly, guys, it's crazy. I saw e4 on every single opponent played e4 against me, and I played d4 and got like the same opening every single time. I mean, I got, let's see here. Yeah, there were no gambits, no England gambit, nothing like that. It was just pretty typical London stuff. So this is, this is where we get to. My opponent goes for a queen b6, and nothing really crazy, honestly. I jumped the knight into e5. I could have developed my bishop first. I could have taken the queen, although I never typically do that. Usually you want them, your opponent to take your queen. And so here I was eyeing knight takes d7 just to grab the bishop pair, honestly. I didn't think, so the computer says here, oh, well, you missed this move because it takes away castling rights from your opponent. But let's just see here, because if he takes with the knight, there was some sequence h4. Yeah, not super obvious for me. It says you should have taken the bishop on d7 because because they're going to take with their king and it takes away castling rights. But I was just kind of thinking, well, no, because they take with the knight. Looks perfectly fine to me. They're threatening e5, but apparently after h4, this is good for white. Anyways, I decided to just keep developing, and I think it wants knight takes d7, but I think the bishop actually might have gone on e2 would have been better. Of course, if they go here, if they ever push, you just take. So it's not a fork, but the computer doesn't like this. So I guess because c4, yeah, so okay. c4, and then I'm forced to take. And typically, yeah, like I said, you don't want to be the one that takes there. As you guys will see, the reason being is because they very early, they get this this b pawn just rolling down the board. It's a very simple plan. It very often happens when you play the queen b6 and they take. You use that b pawn to just launch down the board, and I guess it's a minority attack if I'm not mistaken, but it's very annoying to deal with. As you can see, I can't go a3 right now because he can immediately go b4, and actually the computer here, let's see, after I took, he goes b5, still wants h4 or king e2. It's kind of making its mind up. I took on d7 at this point, which it says is a mistake, and then I went e4. I was struggling. I felt like I was already worse, but I felt like I had to strike back in the center. Plus e4 is kind of a normal move to just chip away at black's pawn chain. I went e4. He ignored, continued going with that b pawn b4. I took first because, this doesn't work. Like if I take and then take, this just does not. Oh, actually, this comes with check, though. So I'm not sure if that would be, if they threw this move in, do we keep taking? Yeah, we keep taking. Because here, takes, this looks fine. Anyhow, of course I didn't do that. I decided to castle here. And they took on c3, and apparently this is still pretty even, but I was like so convinced that I was already worse. I think that really played on my thinking and my psyche here. Because then the same thing, they use the other pawn to just start launching down the board and create weaknesses. Of course, if I ever take, like, that weak pawn on d4 is it just looked bad to me. I went rook f to e1 to just put some pressure on that bishop, because I can maybe eventually attack the knight, defending the bishop, and discourage black from castling. They castled anyways, of course. And here, like, yeah, this is where I would say, guys, this is a really good example of the differences between over the board chess and online chess and seeing the position and the pieces and everything differently. I cannot explain to you. I mean, I know why I went knight f1. I knew when I made the move, I was like, it's a backward knight move. I get it, but I think I can justify it because I want to go here and attack the backwards d pawn, which isn't all that easy to protect, except that I missed, of course. Yes, it is, because they can just go knight f3 and there's nothing that I can do. My plan was basically to go after the knight on c6 to take the bishop to win a piece, and it just was not the best plan. The backwards knight move just didn't work. They continue going with the b pawn, b4. I went for bishop f5. This simply doesn't do anything. And again, guys, it's crazy because I think in an online game, I would never, I would see almost immediately after bishop f5, he's just gonna go knight f3, and this is protected. And I can't. My idea was basically to go here and here. I was calculating all sorts of stuff, but you guys might have heard this expression. I don't even know if it's really an expression, but with over the board chess, the problem is, especially if you're not very familiar with it, oftentimes you calculate, and you're seeing ghosts. You're just seeing things that are not there, or you miss moves. And so what I'm saying is that I was doing this like crazy, like way more than I feel that I do in most of my online games. I was spending all this time calculating how I might be able to attack that knight and then get my bishop here to attack this knight, which therefore attacks this bishop because I can take and it's not defended. None of it works because he simply goes knight f6, which both defends that d7 square and protects any weaknesses he can have on d5, and it's just a good square for the knight. And after this move, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I knew I was losing. This looks so bad to me. And then I just big time blundered. Yeah, big time blundered. Played here and missed that my bishop was hanging. So I just completely collapsed. Here. I resigned. So yeah, definitely starts to go downhill after those first losses. I did feel like I was playing pretty good, right? Like I drew a couple 1800s. One of them was almost 1900. But then from then on out, it just started going downhill. So that was round, what did I say? Round 7. And round 8, I am with the black pieces. Basically at this point, I'm thinking, I think I was at the like 80th table out of 100 and, let me think here. So out of like 109 matchings, right? So that like 200 and something players total in our section, but the table that I was at was 80th out of like 109. So it's starting to get lower, and I'm thinking at this point, okay, well at least I'm playing with all the other losers, all the other people that are, I shouldn't say losers, but all the people that are not doing too hot. So my spirits were definitely down. It also sucks to lose a game when you spent 3 or 4 hours playing it. But it's at the same time, it's nice because you can learn from it. It haunts you. You won't make a lot of those mistakes again. I can tell you right now, if I ever see that version of the Scandinavian, if you guys watched the last video, I will never forget the move bishop c5. I won't forget it now. If I ever play that line again and they go for a3, I'm going to remember bishop c5. Why? Because I spent like 3 hours playing a game that I lost simply because I couldn't find that move and for other reasons. Anywho, so my opponent this time is named Flavien. He's rated at 1710. Still technically a stronger opponent than I am. But I had some confidence going into this that, hey, he's not having a great tournament either. Let's see what we can do. So again, e4. I did not see a single d4, which is so weird because it is very, very common, especially in these tournament games, but I only got e4s. We go to this line of the Scandinavian, and right away I was like, oh man, bishop b5 is the one line I haven't looked at as much as I should have, and it's supposed to be a very good line for white. But I did remember a lot of this. You go here, you block bishop d7, and if they go back to c4, you throw in bishop g4. This is at least one of the lines. F3, then you go back to f5. But here I was already like, ooh, I'm going to have to start calculating. I'm out of theory here. I don't remember exactly what the best moves are. Here, for example, apparently the best move is bishop all the way back to c8. Who would have thought? I went back to g6. And I know that in a lot of these lines, like sometimes they'll push the h-pawn and you end up taking and winning your pawn back. He's clearly trying to hold on to that d5 pawn. So I gambited. I'm temporarily down a pawn. Now I'm down 2 pawns, but I'm going for activity, and c6 is the best move. This is just kind of a thematic idea in this opening, where you're going for very fast development, and but you have to be able to convert, because otherwise you're just down a pawn or 2 pawns. My opponent went f4 here, and I took a while to think here because I was thinking it was not a good move. I was almost certain it was not the top move, but I had to be very careful because obviously he is threatening to trap my bishop. After a while, I remembered actually. I remember this move e6 because it just, quite simply, it opens up your last piece you need to get out, and also simultaneously defends. They cannot push because this is defended. So I found e6 and was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm doing good. Might be even a little bit better here because I know this is looking familiar now. He went knight f3 and blundered a pawn. And I looked at this and I thought, is there any reason I can't just take that pawn on g4? That's just a free pawn. And so then all of a sudden I'm feeling more confident. I'm thinking, okay, my opponent blundered. I think they missed that was a free pawn. Yeah, okay, you can move your knight, but what are you going to do? You go there? Let's see. Oh, you have queen h4 check. That would be devastating. You can't move that knight. There's no good discovered, So I took that pawn. And then he played d3, which is, to my eyes, it's actually fine. It looks a little bit passive, but I think d4 might have been a little bit better, but the computer wants queen e2. Anyhow, they play d3. I went bishop c5, and look here, I'm no complaints. I clearly have a better position. I knew I was better. And then I got overconfident, and just like that game, if you guys watched, where he sacked the bishop on h3, and I thought, what is this? This is a bogus attack. This does not work. Well, I didn't take the time I needed to calculate. I've got an hour and 30 minutes. At this point, I probably had maybe an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. I've got plenty of time. I should have just done my best to try to evaluate, okay, this could be scary. And I just didn't, I calculated this, but I just didn't realize that, so I thought that I was down a pawn or two here, I think, but I wasn't. Anyhow, I was just sure that stopping White's king from castling, because I have this f2 square. This f2 square is mine. What are you going to take with a queen? No. So I'm going to throw this in, take away castling rights from your king, and he just slides over. And now all of a sudden, my bishop I need to be very careful, because if he moves that knight and attacks my knight, he's simultaneously attacking the bishop because it's defended by my knight. This was just a silly move, because now bishop takes on e6. And I saw this. For some reason, just thought, yeah, but still I should be fine. So what? He's going to sack on e6. But then, I also saw, oh, he's picking up my knight as well. So now I'm just down 2 pawns for nothing. So this was just really silly. The computer, instead of that silly bishop f2 check move, just wants me to castle. And then I'm definitely better. I think that the position would have been easy enough to play. So that was the first mistake. Second mistake here was I castled, and black is actually still better here. Second mistake was queen f7. And this, guys, this is the example I wanted to talk about with moves that I feel like I never would have made in an online game, whether it was, it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's so obvious that knight g5 comes with a tempo and hits my queen. I took so long to make this move, and I just missed an obvious attack by my opponent. And there's just no excuses. It's just, I need to get used to visualizing and playing over the board. And so, yeah, because I was thinking, this queen's annoying. I want to maybe play bishop f5. Turns out bishop f5 was the best move. I should have played right away. Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know. I just think I saw rook D1, or sorry, rook E1 coming, and thought I'll double up and try to put pressure on this F4 pawn, because if that F4 pawn ever falls, white is toast. Just like that other game that I threw, I had a big advantage and I threw it away. Same kind of thing. I just didn't find the right continuation. I gave my opponent all this free tempo. Thought for a long time here about what to do with my queen. Obviously, I'm down material. I should not be trading queens, but I don't know. I was looking at it. I didn't see a better move. Queen C7 is actually the move here. But I think, yeah, Queen C7. And I saw like, wow, he just gets to keep attacking my queen with all this tempo. But it looks like it was better. I therefore played bishop f4 and traded, because my thought was that for a second I thought I was better here because takes, and I thought, I'll go here, and I'm hitting your rook, and your knight is still being attacked. Your rook is done. Not only is it going to be taken, but you can't even take my bishop back if I were to get this move in. And I just simply missed that. Knight back to g5, defends that square, and I have nothing. And this was another moment where I was like, what the hell am I doing? I don't understand this. It's still pretty even, but yeah, really frustrating. Really frustrating to not be playing good chess, even if you're like almost always, I'm almost always starting out good, if not better in the opening. And then anyhow, bishop back to e7, and I went back to d7 after he attacks my bishop. I was kind of bummed that I missed. Bringing my bishop back here means that I gave that square to the rook, so now the rook can start to get active because he was basically playing without a rook. Anyhow, and like here, he chases my knight away, and just the rest of the game, somehow the knights absolutely dominated my bishops, and I just got thrown around. I played this bishop h3 check move a little bit too fast. I should have seen that it doesn't really do anything, and it's not really a good move. Yeah, the knights hop into the position, and now all of a sudden I'm just completely losing. What was a weak king is now an active king, and trades down into an endgame. And yeah, this is pretty much it. I tried to survive. And after, yeah, like here is just clearly lost. Here I decided to take the pawn because I knew that it doesn't even matter, I'm losing. So I played on a little bit before resigning. We get to this position, and let's see here. There's no way to stop the pawn, so I resigned. So yeah, this was brutal. This was round 8, second to last game of the tournament. And honestly, guys, I was so close to just forfeiting the next day, just not going. I was going to email the organizer and just say, I'm not coming. It would be an automatic forfeit because they did not allow any buys for the last day. You can, like the other days, you could basically take a buy, which means that you don't play and you get given a half point for each game that you don't play, which could be okay, but it also could be bad depending on if you would have won those games. I couldn't do that for last day. So I knew I would be just forfeiting, but I was honestly just like, wow, I was pretty upset and just thinking, I don't really want to wake up at 8 in the morning to go spend an hour, 2 hours total actually, getting to this tournament to lose again. Finally, I didn't send the email, which kind of made it so that I had to go. I wasn't going to just not show up and let someone sit there for like a good 20, 25 minutes before they win. But it's kind of disrespectful. So I went, and the recap for round 9 will be in the next video.